first three bookshelves are actually our hardbacks, and I'm going to talk about the first one. We have Legend of Prodigy from the Legend trilogy by Mary Lou, and then we have The Unbecoming of Mary Dyer and the sequel, The Evolution of Mary Dyer. These are like one of my all-time favorite books, and I love them so much. Then I have two copies of Hemlock. One is just a normal one, and the other is the annotated copy that I won and I covet. Cinder, Scarlet, which are part of the Lunar Chronicles saga. The Way We Fall, The Lives We Lost, which are also dystopian. Then of course there's Divergent and Insurgent, my favorite books, dystopian books, and the reason why I love dystopian books. Anna Dressed in Blood and The Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake. Hush Hush and Crescendo, which are the first and second book in the Hush Hush saga. High Society and Perfect Scoundrel. Supernaturally and Endlessly. And then there is Anna and the French Kiss, which is one of my all-time favorite books. And Lola and the Boy Next Door. And lastly we have Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers.
So the second row, we have two copies of Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, Venom by Fiona Paul, Matched and Crossed from the Match trilogy, Elixir by Hilary Duff, the first, Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare, which is the third in the Infernal Devices, Sweet Shadows by Terrellyn Childs, Through to You by Emily Hainsworth, Breathe by Sarah Crossan, Wildfire by Karsten Knight, Lost Girl by
Sangu Mandana,
Partials by Dan Wells, The Forsaken by Lisa M. Stace, Firelight by Sophie Jordan, Hourglass by Myra McIntyre, The Girl of Fire and Thorns, and The Crown of Embers, which is the first and the second in a trilogy.
And they're historical fantasy.
Yeah, and they're both by Ray Carson. Born Wicked by Jessica Spotswood, the second book in the Hex Hall series, Demon Glass by Rachel Hawkins, Possessed by Gretchen McNeil, another copy of Insurgent by Veronica Roth, and finally Winter Girls by Laurie Halls Anderson.
For a third shelf, you can see we have some shades of red. The first is the Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith, Everneath by Brodie Ashton, Secret Sisterhood of Heartbreakers by Lynn Wingarton. Then we have Insignia by S.J. Kincaid, Dearly Departed by Leah Habel. Then we have Dystopian, Black City by Elizabeth Richards, Contemporary Bells by Jen Calonita, and this has like a very cute cover, as you can see here, and then when you remove this, it's like the girls. The next book is actually the book with my all-time favorite cover ever, and it's The Probability of Miracles by Wendy Wonder. Then we have Abby McDonald's Boys, Bears, and a Serious Pair of Hiking Boots, Sarah Wills Etienne's Harbinger, The Wolfspring Chronicles Unleashed by Holder and Vigu, the first book in the Lion Game by Sarah Shepard, Fat Vampire, A Never Coming of Age Story by Adam Rex, then Bright Young Things by Anne Godberson, The Innocents by Lily Peliquin, Generation Dead by Waters, Glimmer by Phoebe Catanidis, Darkness Falls by Kate Turner, which is the second book in the Immortal Beloved trilogy. We have the first book in the Chemical Gardens trilogy, which is Wither by Lauren Stefano, Origin by Jessica Khoury, and 20s Girl by Sophie Kinsella. Then we have Dark Eyes by William Richter. Then we have another dystopian, Article 5 by Kristen Simmons. And lastly, we have two copies of the third book of Jenny Hans Will Always Have Summer. And the reason why we have two is because we love this trilogy so much that we each have to have our own.
Off to the shelf of awesomeness, we have the first 6 books and the full series of the Vampire Academy, and it's Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, Frostbite, Shadow Kiss, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound, and Last Sacrifice. I just read the first 3 and I am in love. They're awesome. Then we have a paperback copy of Divergent by Veronica Roth, Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, Unravel Me by Tahira Mafi.
I have to say these 3 are like my all-time favorite books: Divergent, Unravel Me, Shatter Me.
Yep. And then we have Angel and Angel Fire by L.A. Weatherly, the first and the second in the series. We have, oh my god, Sweep Volume 1, which is 3 books.
Oh, I love this.
And then we have Sweep Volume 2, Dark Magic, Sweep Volume 3, The Calling, and Sweep Volume 5.
Yeah, I need to buy the fourth
Reckoning,
one.
and they're all by Kate Turner.
This series, the Sweep series, they're like witches. It talks about like witches and stuff, and I think I have like a soft spot for witches and all that because this series is like one of my all-time favorite series ever.
Then we have
another Kate Turner book.
Yep, 4 books in one, and it's A Chalice of Wind, A Circle of Ashes, A Feather of Stone, and A Necklace of Water. And all of them are just called Balefire, also by Kate Turner, and I just love the cover.
The saga is called Balefire.
Yep. And then we have City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, and City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. The first book is Across the Universe by Beth Revis, Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. These are amazing books, and I bet you already know that. And then we have How to Be Popular and Jinx by Meg Cabot. And then we have Airhead, Runaway, and Airhead Being Nikki by Meg Cabot. And I'm such a fan of Meg Cabot. I love all her books. Immortal Beloved, book number 1 in the Immortal Beloved series by Kate Turner. The White Kiss by Janet Gartler. Switched and Torn, the first and second in the Trial trilogy by Amanda Hawking. The Fine Art of Truth or Dare by Melissa Jensen. A Time for Dance by Davida Wills Herwin. The Storyteller by Antonia Michels. 2 copies of The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. The Iron Daughter and the Iron King by Julie Kagawa. Confessions of an Angry Girl by Louise Rosette. Don't Breathe a Word by Holly Capalla. 2 copies of Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. Head Games Are Pretty Tough by Carrie
Mikulski and Liz Tigler.
2 copies of Once Every Never by Leslie Livingston. Royally Crushed.
3 books in 1.
Yeah, and they are Royally Jacked, Spin Control, and Do Over, and they're all by Nikki Burnham. Unearthly by Cynthia Hand, and Carry of the Mark by Lee Fallon.
So this shelf contains one of my most coveted books. Actually, all of them are my coveted books. The first is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. The only reason why I bought this book is because it's by J.K. Rowling. I'm not sure I'm ever going to read it, but I had to buy it. Then I have the 7 books, which are the Harry Potter books. They're the reason why I even started reading and why I still read. You guys all know them, but I'm just going to say that my favorite would be Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and also Harry Potter and I love the Deathly Hallows, and I love the Half-Blood Prince, so I love them. Then here we have Stephanie Meyer books. If you notice that we have 2 copies of each book, and we also have another copy of The Host, but we don't really have it right now because someone borrowed it. And the reason is because I love these books so much. Do not judge me. I love these books so much that I made my sister buy her own if she wanted to read them. I just have to showcase this because this book doesn't get enough love. That it deserves way more love than it has. And it is The Host. It is also by Stephanie Meyer. I feel like because people hated Twilight so much, they are not willing to give The Host a try. But I just have to say that The Host is so amazing, and every single person I recommended it to loved it. But I have to warn you that the first 80 pages or so are a bit boring, but if you get past these pages, you're gonna love it just as much as I do. On another shelf, we have a couple of hardbacks. The first is Earth Girl by Janet Edwards, 2 copies of The Gypsy King by Maureen Fergus, Just Listen by Sarah Dessen, full trilogy of the Lauren Conrad LA Candy trilogy, LA Candy, Sweet Little Lies, and Sugar and Spice, a Meg Cabot book, which is All American Girls, Cold Kiss by Amy Garvey, 20 Boy Summer by Sarah Ockler, Bittersweet by Sarah Ockler, The Catastrophic History of You and Me by Jess Rothenberg. And the only reason why we're not really talking about these books is because we basically haven't read most of them, so excuse that. Paper Valentine by Brenna Jovanoff, Above by Leah Bobbitt. She's a Canadian author. The Body Finder, Desires of the Dead, and The Last Echo by Kimberly Durting. The Espressologist by Christina Springer. This is a very short book. Unlocked by Van Cleve. How to Take the Ex Out of Ex-Boyfriend by Janet Rallison. Interrupted by Rachel Coker, and this is sort of like historical contemporary, if that makes any sense. And I really enjoyed this one. It was a pretty good book. Guardian by Heather Birch, Mira's Diary, Lost in Paris by Marissa Moss, Fever and Sever by Lauren DeStefano. I still haven't read these 2. And I have Pandemonium and Delirium by Lauren Oliver. Off to our next row of shelves, we have an arc of Game Board of the Gods by Rochelle Mead, Starcursed by Jessica Spotswood, Confessions of a Hater by Caprice Crane. And we have The Rules for Disappearing by Ashley Elston, Truth or Dare by Jacqueline Green, Earthbound by Aprilyn Pike, Imposter by Suzanne Winokur, Ink by Amanda Sun, Siege and Storm by Lee Bardugo. I'm very excited for this one. Maybe Tonight by Brady Clark, Spirit by Bridget Kimmer, the 3rd in the Elemental series, A Fool's Errand by Maureen Fergus, the 2nd in the Gypsy King series, Embrace by Jessica Shervington, A Sea of Tranquility by Katja Millay. This is a new adult book, and it is so good. I stayed up to like 4:30 in the morning just reading it, and honestly, you guys need to read this if you're new adult fans.
Icons by Margaret Stoll, Sky and Fire by Emily Laybourne.
I really enjoyed this one.
We have the originals by Kat Patrick, The Moon and More by Sarah Dessen, This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith, Eternally Yours, Book 3 in the Immortal Beloved series by Kate Turton, Perfect Escape by Jennifer Brown, Cold Fury by T.M. Gilglin, Prodigy by Mary Lou, Burn by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian, Amanda Hawkins' Wake, Shadowlands by Kate Bryan,
which
a book
really
that I loved, and oh my god, the cover is just gorgeous. I love this cover. Friday Society by Adrienne Kress, Flashpoint by Nancy Kress. It's funny how both of their names are close. And then we have Embrace by Jessica Shervington.
So this is another shelf with our arcs. The first is Faded by Alison Noel. Then we have another copy of Paper Valentine by Brenna Jovanoff. There's also The Raven Boys, which is the first book in the Raven Cycle trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. White Lines by Jennifer Benash. Skinny by Donna Cooner. The Encyclopedia of Me by Karen Rivers. And Surrender, which is the second book by Elena Johnson. Denise Jayden's Never Enough. Aline Cook's The Almost Truth. Envy, which is the second book in the Fury trilogy by Elizabeth Miles. There's Eve, another dystopian by Anna Carey. The Other Normals by Ned Vizzeni. There's Smart Girls Get What They Want by Sarah Strohmeyer, one of my favorite contemporaries. Over You, which is by Emma McLaughlin and Nicholas Krauss.
Nicola Krauss.
Oopsie, Nicola Krauss.
This was a really cute contemporary book.
The Lost Code, which is book 1 of The Atlanteans by Kevin Emerson. Mind Games by Kirsten White. I adore the cover. Mila 2.0 by Deborah Driza. Blaze by Laurie Boyle Crompton. Welcome Caller, this is Chloe, and it is by Shelley Carell. Then we've got Crash by Lisa McMahon. I'm pretty sure you guys know who Lisa McMahon is. Drain You, and it is by M. Beth Bloom. Sweet Evil by Wendy Higgins. The Word by Jordana Frankel. This book came out April 30th. The Lost Prince by Julie Kagawa. There's Bloodlines by Rochelle Mead. I haven't read this series yet. Spark by Amy Kathleen Ryan. This is the second book to Glow. Things I Can't Forget by Miranda Keneally, and this was a pretty awesome contemporary. Breath of Air by Eve Marymont. Touch of Scarlet by Eve Marymont. This is the first and then this is the second book. We have another copy of A Third One by Nina Berry. The Fifth Wave by Rick Yonsei, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows this book because there's been a lot of hype about it. And lastly, there is A Takeitan Espionage by Gail Carriger, and I just adore the cover for this one.
This row of shelves is kind of a mix of my middle grade and my little kiddie books and some like classics and all that stuff. So the first is Girl Overboard by Amy Ferris, and we have The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, The Miracle Worker by William Gibson, Small Steps by Louis Sachar, which is the second book in Holes, and I know a lot of people don't know that there's a sequel, but there is. Peaches by Judy Lynn Anderson, Midnight for Charlie Bone by Jennifer Nemo, Junior High by Francine Pascal, a stack of Babysitter Club books, and they're all by Anna Martin. 2 other junior high books. 7 books by Julia De Villers, and they're all a series called Tuned In, but they're really awesome, fun books.
I really enjoyed them.
2 of Us by Brendan Halpin. The Lottie Project by Jacqueline Wilson. Jacqueline Wilson was like my hero when I was a kid. I read every book by her. Clean Break by Jacqueline Wilson. Tuck Everlasting. This was a really good book. So Super Starry by Rose Wilkins. Tommy Sullivan is a Freak by Meg Cabot. TTYL by Lauren Miracle. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Hatchet by Gary Paulson. Rocky Road Trip by Catherine Clark. This is not even a book.
It's just 101 things we have to do before we get old and boring.
The Giver by Louis Laurie. 2 Agatha Christie books, After the Funeral and Unfinished Portrait. Dustin Baby by Jacqueline Wilson. Edition by Tony Jordan. Jane Austen.
Some Jane Austen books. Persuasion,
Mansfield Park, Emma, and Pride and Prejudice. Touch by Jessica Cordo. The UK copy of Legend by Mary Lou. You Are So Undead to Me by Stacey J. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid series by Jeff Kinney. Love them so much. We have a paperback copy of The Catastrophic History of You and Me by Jess Rothenberg. Shiver Linger Forever by Maggie Stiefvater. Nightshade by Andrea Kremer. Ruling Passion, which are 3 books and they are Hearts at Stake, Blood Feud, Out for Blood. The Demon's Covenant by Sarah Reese Brennan. Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, and The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Beach Blondes by Catherine Applegate. The Whispering Road by Livy Michael, and I just love this book so much. Like, even though it was middle grade, I just adored it. The God of Animals by Apron Kyle. Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. Threads by Sophie Bennett. The Next Big Thing by Judy Waite. So Super Stylish by Rose Williams. Wreck by E.R. Frank. Blue Sky Fever. Starting Over by Kathy Hopkins. On the Prowl by Sue Lim, Road Trip, and Banana Splitsville, both by Catherine Clark.
Apollyon by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This has become one of my all-time favorite series. There's also Revamped by Ada Adams, The Dark Divine by Brie Despain, and another dystopian, which is Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi. Books number 1 and 2 of the Inside duology, which are Inside Out and Outside In by Maria V. Schneider. Out of Sight, Out of Time by Ali Carter, another book of Wither by Lauren DeStefano, another copy of Cinder by Marissa Mayer, If He Had Been With Me by Lauren Nolan.
It is one of my all-time favorite books, and if you haven't read it, then you're crazy.
Jane by April Lindner, Darkseeker by Taryn Browning, Deadly Cool and Social Suicide by Gemma Halliday, Forbidden by Cyree James and Ryan M. James, Paranormal Sleep by Kirsten White, Glow by Amy Kathleen Ryan, Raised by Wolves and Trial of Fire by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, and Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse. Then Rosebush by Michelle Jaffe, Shut Down the Moon by Lisa Tucker. This is, well, it's actually labeled as an adult book, but it's one of my all-time favorite books. And seriously, I've been recommending this to a lot of people, and every single person that has read it loved it in the end. Fateful by Claudia Gray, some Meg Cabot books, Teen Idol and Avalon High, and lastly, Slated by Terry Terry.
Storm Dancer by Jay Kristoff, 2 copies of Reckless Journal by Carrie Smith, A Fool's Errand, another copy by Maureen Fergus, Slide by Jill Hathaway, Zoe Letting Go by Katie Price, Speechless by Hannah Harrington, Ostentatious by Alyssa Goodnight, The Eternity Cure by Julie Kagawa, the second book in the Blood of Aiden series, The Lucy Variations by Sarah Zarr, Life After Theft by April and Pike, Touched by Corinne Jackson, Tangled by Erica O'Rourke, Bound by Erica O'Rourke, A Third Moon by Nina Barry, which is the second book in the Thurkin trilogy, the first and second books, Storm and Spark by Bridget Kemmerer, which are also part of the Elemental series, The Goddess Inheritance and Goddess Interrupted by Amy Carter, Replication by Jill Williamson, 4 mini books, and they're Flowers in the Sky by Lynn Joseph, Fall from Grace by Charles Benoit, Project Sweet Life by Bent Hartinger, and the last one is Breathing Underwater by Alex Flynn. We also have
the author of Beastly.
And we have the last, which is an audiobook, and it's Monstrous Beauty by Elizabeth Fama.
So this shelf contains my adult books and my chiclets, basically. The first is Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella, and this is one of my all-time favorite adult books or chiclets or just books in general. I have reread this book a couple of times, and every single time I love it even more. The rest are also Sophie Kinsella books: Shopaholic Ties the Knot, Shopaholic Takes Manhattan, Shopaholic and Sister, Confessions of a Shopaholic, and Shopaholic and Baby. I also have a couple of Louis Bagshaw books: Tuesday's Child, Monday's Child, and the rest are somewhere here. Sarah O'Brien's A Girl Thing, Carol Matthews' With or Without You, Claire Dowling's No Strings Attached, Jane Blanchard's Fanning Old Flames, 3 Marian Keyes books that I haven't read yet, Further Under the Duvet, Sushi for Beginners, and Rachel's Holiday. I have 2 Nicholas Sparks books, The Choice and Message in a Bottle, another Meg Cabot book, which is Queen of Babble, and this is actually in her adult series. This is the other Louis Bagshaw book, the movie. Then there is Mary Beaumont, Motherland, Peter Mays, The Runner, Jana Ivanovich's Motormouth, and there we have another Nicholas Sparks book, and it's upside down. The Guardian and The Rescue, which is one of my all-time favorite chiclets, or just, you know, romance books. And you guys can see how it's pretty damaged because a lot of people read this book from me.
Live the Dream by Josephine Cox, Keep Your Feet Hidden by Layla Asdahan, Sophie Kinsella's Mini Shopaholic, Claire Dowling, My Fabulous Divorce, Sophie Kinsella's Remember Me, Girls of Riyadh by Raja Al-Sania, She Smells the Dead by E.J. Stevens, Margaret Atwood, The Edible Woman, Every Boy's Got One by Meg Cabot.
One of her adult books.
Yeah, Summer at the Villa Rose by Nikki Pellegrino, The Lotus Eaters by Marianne MacDonald, another Margaret Atwood book by Lady Oracle, Wish Upon a Star by Martina Rayleigh, Johnny B. Good by Paige Toon, Carol Matthews.
I love Carol Matthews.
You Drive Me Crazy. Dermot Bulger's Temptation, Fabulous Things by Kelly Barafet.
A very disturbing book.
Exit A by Anthony Swafford, Book Lover by Jennifer Kaufman and Karen Mack.
This was made for us.
Yeah, we have the 5 books in the manga Ultra Maniac by Wataru Yoshizumi. Another 5 books by Yu Watase, and it's the series Imaduki. And we have the first 4 of the Death Note series by Tsugimi Oba and the art by Takeshi Obata.